I'm Mike Gordon, and welcome to my perfect playthrough of the Contra Anniversary Collection. And today we are going to begin the first game of this collection, Contra for the arcade. Yep, the game that started all. Aliens incoming. Contra is the name given to those born with a brain-fighting spirit have mastered guerrilla warfare tactics. December AD 2633, Earth is being invaded by a hostile alien army known as the Red Falcon. And the Contra elite commandos specializing in guerrilla warfare are the only ones standing between humanity and its complete annihilation. Two of the deadliest Contra soldiers, Bill and Lance, have been dispatched to infiltrate the Red Falcon's base and destroy the enemy from within. Use their cunning wits and reflexes to guide the two commandos to victory and kick some serious alien butt. So I'm gonna set this game on easy, and apologies if I spam the save feature here because but first I want to try to switch the HUD, so yep. So it looked like this. I want to have the little background here. So the reason I'm doing this, the reason why I'm setting all this up, Contra for the arcade kind of has a problem. Even though you can insert a ton of credits and have quite a few continues, you really only have about 3 or 5 chances to play through the whole game before the game just sets you back to the very beginning of the game. So, there. So, as this is just an arcade game, the perfect playthrough conditions are very simple. All I have to do is beat the game. By the way, that is the 2-player co-op. Unfortunately, we will not be seeing any co-op gameplay at all whatsoever throughout this entire perfect playthrough. But as this is just an arcade game, general rule of thumb with Contra is all you have to do to perfect it is to beat it. That's pretty much it. There will be some extra conditions. Alright, just gonna let that slide. I'm gonna give myself 3 credits, though, because that's about as many tries as the game is going to give you. And I'm actually gonna make sure that the auto fire is enabled, and of course I want the spread shot. So yeah, even though this is the arcade original, it is kind of impressive that nobody really considers the original arcade game to be better than the NES game. And I can sort of get it. It's a really scrunched up vertical screen. Very tall, lanky, and all lost. Nothing, really no verticality in terms of its width. Sorry, not. Basically nothing horizontal in terms of width whatsoever. And there is a ton of slowdown in the arcade version. I mean a ton of slowdown. So basically you just want to shoot all those projectiles and then go down and blow up the door. That's it. So the arcade and NES games, they have the same stories. They basically have the same point. Basically have the same plot point for point. Basically they have the same levels, but the level designs are different in how things... And some of the little differences between the versions are what keeps the NES and arcade versions completely different. That makes sense, because back then the NES couldn't really do arcade accurate gameplay. Congratulations! Now you know why the Sega Genesis, why the tagline for the Genesis was Genesis does what Nintendo. I know why the tagline for the Genesis was Genesis does what Nintendo don't, because the Genesis could capture arcade gameplay pretty well for its time. The NES could not. Basically, that was the main selling point for getting a Genesis back in the day. Just I think this game actually predates the NES. I think Contra on NES came out like 87, 88. So basically, how to deal with this boss, you basically want to stay in the middle. That will protect you from its projectiles. So this is literally the only vertical scrolling stage in the game. I think the NES version has an extra one on top of that. Also, level length and layouts are different between NES and arcade. Everybody knows the NES version, but I am a bit scared because of the whole copyright thing that surrounds the NES original game. I mean, come on, Konami, come on, YouTube. The music very clearly comes from the game itself. Now, if I was infringing on copyright, why would I keep the volume low and talk over it? Alright, so far the game hasn't been too difficult. I've actually practiced this game quite a bit. And yes, I was setting out my failures, but I only had like 2 failures so far. This entire run, so far so good. However, level 5 is basically an unending gauntlet until you finally beat the final boss. And so, incidentally, the NES game actually splits this gauntlet up into 4 separate levels. With these third-person perspectives, your objective is to hit that glowing orb things that guard the doors, because that literally blows everything else up and opens up the electric fence, so you could proceed. Here, the glowing dot thing was guarded by a brick wall. So, always I make my objective being to take out the turrets first, and always focus my attention on the boss once I clear all the other little obstacles out first. Luckily, these bosses, during these third-person stages, they actually shoot projectiles that you can blow up with your spread shot. However, they can be difficult if you're not paying attention and watching where they go. I will say, hello, that the arcade original is definitely a way harder game than the NES game. Honestly, I think the only reason anybody knows that Contra started off life as an arcade game in the arcades was because of the Angry Video Game Nerd. That's how we know. It helps that the Anniversary Collection actually included the arcade originals. But honestly, nope. So, here you want to focus your efforts on the ships themselves that are dispatching all those guys. You focus on the guys, you'll be there forever and will probably take a death. Always watch for when those explosives get flung. So, a lot of these turrets like to because the screen has so much screen crunch, the turrets like to just come out of nowhere and take you by surprise. That's probably one of the main reasons why this game was so difficult in the arcades, is that screen crunch. And this is technically the final level because it's basically just one long hallway with like 3 sections to it. And we're about to enter section 2. But first we have to defeat this little sub-boss. And now we are in section 2 proper. Basically, we are infiltrating the alien base. And by the way, all these humans, they've basically been taken over by this alien force called the Red Falcon. So that's why you're shooting and killing a bunch of guys. Because they've been overtaken by the Red Falcon alien, by the alien forces known as the Red Falcon. Why the alien forces would name their military after something on Earth, I have no idea, but I'm guessing there's meant to be some Soviet communist undertones with the naming. That makes sense because the 1980s was still in the middle of the Cold War. And a lot of alien stories focus a bit on Cold War paranoia. So if you did not know that we were already in the second section, like the second part, now it's very apparent. And man, look at all this slowdown. Everything moves so freaking sluggish now because the game literally cannot handle all this crap appearing on screen all at once. Just can't handle it, so it just lags and lags and lags. For what it's worth, at least the lag doesn't really affect the difficulty that much. But now we're in the third and final section of this level, of our final level, and this is where the climax is set start. And this is where the Red Falcon army is. And it's these aliens that kind of look like xenomorphs and facehuggers. By the way, the playable characters are modeled after Arnold Schwarzenegger from the Predator film, from the first Predator film, and Sylvester Stallone as Rambo. Kind of common knowledge at this point. So I just want to try to hurry to the boss, and of course we want to take out those faces so they're not spitting projectiles at us. Ooh, that was close. Got save, just to be safe. And wow, that was easy. And that was quick. I thought it would be there for a lot longer than that. But, you know, that's Contra for the arcade. It's okay. I like it fine. It is still a bit of a curiosity to see where it got its roots. Maybe if I played the game on a harder difficulty setting, I would enjoy it more. Who knows? Honestly, because I never played this game before, well, prior to these outside the practice sessions, I just would play in accordance to my own personal skill level. But next time we will be taking on the second arcade Contra title, Super Contra for the arcade. Leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe on my channel if you haven't already done so. Your support is highly, highly appreciated. But with all out of the way, Do I sign this name as Ah? This is Mike Gordon. Sign out.